All right, we are going to do exercise 27. It's a fairly simple looking part, but it does have some tricks to it. And so let's dive into it. Now, of course, when I say dive into it, we're going to analyze it before we start jumping into things. And what it looks like to me is you've got a fairly simple shape here, kind of this yellowish outline that you're going to extrude out. And then you're going to drop a couple of somewhat complex holes into it. So if you notice that the way the holes work, there is an outer diameter that goes down part way, and then a smaller diameter that goes all the way through. That would be like a perfect way. Let's say you're going to put a bolt in here. This is how you would bolt it to something, because this part would be able to accommodate the head of the bolt, and this would be the shaft of the bolt. Okay. Now, that part we're going to deal with separately. Obviously, that'll be a second step, and we'll address that when we get to it. But the first thing we need to do is make this basic shape and then extrude it out, and that's where we're going to start. So the initial shape looks like it needs to be created on the front plane, so I'm going to make a new sketch, and then I'm going to hide the planes by right-clicking and selecting Hide All Planes. And then I'm going to hit the N key for a normal view. Okay, so let's sketch out that basic shape. It looks like it's going to be kind of up, over, down, down, and back over. Okay, and I'm going to pan that over so it's somewhere where I can see it. The overall length of this thing is supposed to be 160. Or no, I'm sorry, 134. So I'm going to get my dimension tool. I make this 134. And the height is 40. I'm reading all this off the directions, I guess you could know, the drawings. And this is 75. And finally, this one out here is 19. Okay, so that's what we're given. Now, there are a couple, if you look, there's a couple, oh my gosh, fillets. Okay, so we're gonna have to, we could do this after. I know there's nothing stopping us from just extruding it as is and then adding the fillets after. Or we could just do the fillets now using a sketch fillet. I think I'm gonna take that approach. Why not, right? Neither one's right. It's just two ways you could go about it. So I'm going to do a sketch fillet. Click on this corner. I'm going to click and make that 20, just like in the drawing. And then I'm going to do it again for this one. And I'm going to click, and it is supposed to be a 4. And there you go. I'm also... Oh, okay, that's weird. It changed... Oh, okay, so I see. I think the problem here is that because I used the tool twice before I left the tool, it made them both the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this, I'm going to actually back up, and then I'm going to use the tool again. So I think what we should have done is use the tool, okay, and then exit the tool, enter the tool again, and then do it a second time. Let's see if that fixes it. And it does. Okay, so it left that one at 20. This one is now 4, and we are good to go. So let's accept this sketch. I'm going to get an isometric view by right-clicking and selecting that. And then we're going to extrude this thing. According to the drawing, this thing has a width of 40, so that's how far we're going to extrude it. Let's do that. I'm going to click on the extrude tool, click on this face, and change this to 40. All right, so that's initially what we're up to. Now, we have to drop in these holes. Now, the thing, if you're looking straight down, okay, this hole is still circular, which means it's going to be slightly elongated along this face because you're extruding downward a circular shape onto a plane that's not perpendicular. It's going to make it into an ellipse. And you'll see what I'm talking about once we're all done. And you can just kind of see that from here. So what that means to me is we need to create a sketch on this top face, make both of these circles in that same sketch, and then we can do our extrude. And the reason I say that is because you might look at this and think, oh, well, I'm going to make a sketch for this hole on this plane and a sketch for this hole on this plane. That won't work. We need to make one sketch on the top plane. So let's do that. So I'm going to right click on the top face, make a new sketch, hit N to make it normal. I'm going to drop a center line in there because I feel like that would be useful. So I'm going to make a construction line that starts at the midpoint here and drag it out. Okay, it doesn't need to connect to anything, that's fine. It just needs to go down the center. Okay, so now I'm going to have a hole that center starts on that line, and another hole that's bigger that also has a center on a line, and a hole down here, and a hole down here. Okay, you notice I didn't specify dimensions or anything yet because I didn't really need to. I'm going to hit D for dimensions, and the inner, let's see, let's look at the drawing. So the inner diameter for this hole is 12 and the outer diameter is 20. So this one's going to be 12 and this one's going to be 20. Whoops, going to be 20. And you notice it didn't turn black because we haven't specified where this is going to go. If I grab this and drag it, I can move it anywhere. As long as you can drag it, it can't be black. Okay, now I'm going to use an equals constraint to set these because I like to try to have as few dimensions on the drawing as possible. Okay, now we need to locate them. And the sketch says that this one here is 20 millimeters from the left edge. And then this one is 85 more millimeters from the center of the first ones. So let's do that dimension. We're going to make from here to here 20, and it'll turn black. And then we're going to make from here to here 85. And there you go. All right, so we're going to accept that sketch, right click, select isometric, and you can see those guys hovering up there. Okay, so again, going back to the drawing, it looks like from the top surface, this outer one needs to be extruded down 29, and then the inner one can be extruded down all the way. Okay, and that seems to hold for both of them, because that, if you look, that is going to make, okay, yeah, I don't know, that's weird to me. That doesn't seem to match up. Okay, okay, so for this one, it's 29 down from the bottom. From this one, it's 10 up from the bottom, which would make it 30. So either these dimensions are off, or they are literally off, or the way how far this goes down differs by 1 millimeter. Okay, so because if this is 29 from here to here, this distance from here to here is 11, but over here it's only 10. But you know, hey, I'm going with their drawing, even if it is a mistake, right? Who knows? But you got to go with the drawing. Now, what I am going to actually do first is I'm going to do a remove extrude for those center ones, because they'll just go all the way through. So I'm going to select this, and I'm just going to say through all. Okay, so, and I will accept that one. Now, of course, we lost our sketch, but no problem. We'll get it back by clicking on the eye. And now we're going to have to do two separate extrudes because of the way this is set up. So this first one is going down 29. So I'm going to click remove. I'm going to change that blind to 29. And then I'm going to click on this. Okay, and it's going to go down, and I'm going to accept that. Now the other one is going to go down 30 because the bottom of that's supposed to be 10 up from the bottom. So I'm going to make a new remove extrude. This time I'm going to make it 30, and I'm going to click right here, and it wants to know the merge scope. Sometimes when you start outside the part, it means, what are you trying to get me to remove it from? I'm going to click on merge scope, click on part 1, clarify that, and there you go. And then I'm going to accept that. Now I'm going to hide the sketch now that I no longer have a use for it. I'm going to go to my isometric view, and this is what I'm talking about. If you look at this according to the plane. See how this is kind of elongated along that surface? It's more of an ellipse now, okay? But when we view it from the top, it looks great. Now, the other thing you can do that's kind of fun is you can go shaded with hidden edges, right? And so you can actually see what you did on the inside. Okay, you can monk around with the views to get cool new things to happen. All right, so that is it for that one. Have fun with that.